Now, before you even start watching the entire video, I want to draw your attention to two things. First, if you are broke, I am putting broke people before because I belong to the category. If you are broke, know that you can actually pay a deposit of just maybe $500 or a deposit of $1,000 or a deposit of $1,500. Yes, there are colleges in Canada that you can pay a deposit like this, then you apply for your visa. When you move to Canada, then you start paying the balance. I hope you understand. Equally understand that when you want to move to Canada, or if you intend to migrate to Canada, the school that you are applying to is a school that has the DLI number. It is called Designated Learning Institution number. Every university or every college in Canada has this particular number, so you should put this at the back of your mind and understand that for proof of funds for 1 year, according to IRCC, which is the government of Canada's website, you need to have at least 10,000 Canadian dollars. So any other thing you should be doing, know that before you apply for the visa, you need to show that you have 10,000 Canadian dollars first before your tuition fee. There are videos on this YouTube channel to explain more to you, so please make sure you watch the video and make sure you watch the entire video so you understand how these things work if you must study in Canada in 2024 come 2025 with this video, so that you can understand exactly what you need to do. Now, I'm going to be talking exactly to those who intend to study in Canada in 2024 from January 2024. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that if you intend to study in Canada, you should understand that they have a January intake, they also have a May intake, they have a September intake. All right, so you have to decide on which one you are going in for, then you start the search immediately. But again, put at the back of your mind that money is very important. All right, your budget, start by planning your budget or how you are going to get support in order to study in Canada. Now let's take a look at how you have to apply to universities before successfully pulling through with the visa application. For you to study in Canada, first, how do you start or how do you get to the websites of the universities is very, very important. Okay, you need to know how to navigate yourself, and I'm going to talk about two particular websites or two ways I usually go about this application. All right, because of course I know how to navigate myself around. Before you even choose the program, the very first step you need to do, or the first step you need to go through it, is choosing a program. But before you choose a program, you need to know where you want to study. Do you want to go for an undergraduate program? Do you want to go for a master's? Do you want to go for PhD or certificate programs or diploma programs? If you have decided on this, or actually know which type of program you want to take, then it is now time for you to decide if you are going to be studying this program in a university. Remember, there are also postgraduate programs after a bachelor's degree. That is to say, if you already have a bachelor's degree, you can go study postgraduate programs. But if you are still at the level of the high school, because some people usually ask me, Milton, I have just my YX certificate. In this case, you are going to go for a normal diploma program. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you can still study a certificate program, but you cannot study a postgraduate program without a bachelor's degree. So that is something you should put at the back of your mind then. Or are you going to be studying a degree program? If you are going to be going for a degree, then you have to locate some colleges that equally offer degree programs. But a few of them, I think Seneca College equally offer degree programs, but most colleges will not take degree programs, so you have to go to a state universities. If you are looking at cheaper universities, then you should be looking at the University of New Brunswick, the University of Saskatchewan, Brandon University, Simon Fraser University, and of course the University of British Columbia. These are some universities that are somehow quite affordable, and if you have just 10,000 Canadian dollars, you can study for 1 year. All right, so please check out these universities. If you already identify a program and you already know that you are going to be studying this particular program, maybe for how long we do not know, then the next thing you need to do now is to check the website. All right, because first you need to decide on these particular things I explained to you before you start checking the schools. If you already know, now it is time for you to go and start searching for the colleges, or it is now time for you to go and start checking the universities. This is a particular website if you want to use, or if you want to check for schools, you should go into educanada.ca, or you should equally check universitycanada.ca. But if you are going through Google, you may not get options that are going to navigate easily or make you navigate easily in order to check the other things I want to talk about right now. Now, when you already identify the schools, I will also want to draw your attention to the fact that when you are checking the schools, you should also be checking schools that you can pay, probably maybe using instrumental payments, like maybe you pay just a deposit, then you pay the rest later, because there are colleges or universities like that you can pull through. However, if you cannot find, because it might be difficult for you using the website, you have to go through the university's website in order to know this, or sending emails can still be a great way for you. Then make sure, very important, another thing you need to go through or you need to check is universities that belong to DLI, that's Designated Learning Institution. If you are not applying, or if you don't apply for a program or a college or a university that belongs to DLI, that's the Designated Learning Institution, you will not be able to apply for a study visa. Even if you apply, your study permit would be rejected. So you have to put this into consideration. It is very, very important. All right, and like I explained to you earlier on, make sure you check the school's website in order to know what you need to do, because it is very, very important. A lot of people usually fail to understand this. When they find a school, they just jump into the school and they do an application. Before you know, the tuition fee is coming on your admissions letter and it looks like 20,000 Canadian dollars per year. How are you going to afford that? For those of you who are broke, I will always recommend you to take community colleges. And if you are going into a community college, it gives you an advantage because you can actually pay in 2 installments. But remember that there are still some universities that can give you programs that are cheaper than tuition fee in community colleges, and you may even be asked to pay at least maybe sometimes $4,000. All right, so you need to put this at the back of your mind. It is very important. Now remember, I said you should apply to schools that belongs to the DLI list or the Designated Learning Institution. And when you apply to such school, and when your admission letter comes to you after you apply for the program, you are going to see the DLI number. Without that number, even if you apply to the school, like I said, you are not going to get the visa because you cannot study. It is very, very important. All right, DLI belongs to that particular province, so that is how they take to know if the school is actually a school international students can study in. Again, remember, I have always emphasized on the use of studying programs that can last at least 8 months. It is very important for you to know that if you do not study a program that lasts at least 8 months in Canada, you cannot work in Canada. But of course, you are going to be working as an international student. But are you going to work after you finish the study program, or are you going to just return back home? If you are someone who plans to remain in Canada and work, then you must study a program that will last at least 8 months. I equally mentioned in my previous videos that you are going to find programs that are not in years but rather in weeks, so you need to count the number of weeks to make sure it is equal to 8 months. It is very important. Now, I said you have to take a look at some universities, and I equally gave you the list of universities. If you are looking at community colleges, like I said, you should be targeting places like Sashchatawan, British Columbia, New Brunswick, all right, and to a greater extent maybe Ontario, but I cannot really say that. But of course, if you manage to study a program, the main target is to move in there. If you have people who can give you sponsorship support, then that is a great way for you to start. Now, when you identify a university and the program is going to last at least more than 8 months, you are already good to go. Again, there is something called postgraduate work permit. There are some schools that are not in the list that can offer you a postgraduate work permit, but you need to verify these schools to know which one you are going to take. Then when you check all those things, now it is time to check requirements. There are schools that vary per requirement to requirement. Let's say if you are applying to the University of Toronto, it may has maybe one of the requirements to be a working permit, or maybe a 6 years, or maybe a 6 months maybe working experience, while another university like the University of Alberta may be asking for just 3 months working experience, while another school like the University of Saskatchewan may not even ask for working experience. So you need to put the requirements into consideration. Also remember that for you to study a bachelor's degree program in Canada, you need to have at least basic high school documents, maybe with additional documents. But like I said, Not all the universities will ask for the same requirements, so you have to put the requirements into consideration. Also remember that there are some universities, especially some colleges, when you want to go in, they will want you to have mathematics, English, biology and chemistry. Why, if you go to others, they will say they need just biology and mathematics and of course English. So you need to put these things, or maybe in addition to physics, you need to put these things into consideration and always read requirements. An example of a school I'm talking about is New Brunswick Community College. If you check very well on the website, you are going to realize that if you don't have maths, English and physics for your high school, or at the level of your high school, you cannot get admissions into this particular university. And other colleges will equally ask you for English at ordinary and advanced level, or let's just say their high school section. So you need to put this into consideration. After checking requirements, you now check the deadlines. When is the admissions going to start and when is the admissions going to end? Like I said earlier on, you have the January, the May and the September intake in Canada, so you need to put this into consideration. Then always check the deadlines, because visa takes at least 3 months. If you apply for a school, give at least 3 months before you start your visa application, because it takes at least 3 months for these people to evaluate your file or your requirements to see if you actually meet what they want. All right, so you need to put this into consideration. It is very important. Now that is for the deadline. After you check the deadline, now you need to also put at the back of your mind that there is an application fee you have to pay in most of these colleges. There are just few colleges that may not ask for an application fee, and again the duration in which the admissions is going to be out. But for those that are asking for application fee, you have to note that application fee range from maybe 0 to 100 and 110 more. All right, or let's say 120 Canadian dollars, but within that range you will always find application fee of at least 110. So you should note that if you are applying to a school, application fee is non-refundable. If you do not get into the program, you lost the application fee. Another thing you should put into consideration is that most of these schools, especially colleges, will ask you to apply for 2 programs. In case they take you for one, they will drop you for another. Another example is New Brunswick Community College. So these are things you need to put into consideration. Then how do you go now? The next thing is to apply for the program, right? You are going to see the apply button or rules in order to follow. Register, create an email and a password. Then you fill in the necessary details, put in your passport details, and you are good to go. The application is launched. When you finish with the application, you upload your certificates or your documents. Then you now pay the application fee if there is an application fee before you submit, or if there is no application fee, you have to submit. Then you wait for feedback. Sometimes feedback depends on how you apply or the duration. It varies from school to school or from program to program. For example, you may be applying for a college in Ontario, and maybe after 15 to 30 days or 1 month maximum, you get your offer letter. But you apply to another college, it takes like 6 weeks, like New Brunswick Community College. And maybe when you are going to a university, it takes at least 12 weeks, that is 3 months, like the University of Toronto or Alberta. So it depends on the college or the university or the program you are actually going into to get feedback from the said university. So these are some of the things that you need to know. Again, making the first decision, like choosing the course or knowing the course you want to study or knowing where you want to go, is very important, because after that stage you cannot make any decision making again, or you cannot change your decision again. Because if you already know what you want to study, when you are looking at those programs, and before you know, you have to also check the tuition fee. I forgot to mention this. It is very important. All right, check the tuition fee so that you know what you are doing. Like I said, if you must apply again, for those of you who intend to migrate by January 2024, start your application now, because most of the colleges are open. I do not know for universities. I would also like to specify that not all these institutions in Canada, like I mentioned, will be open for January, May and September intake. Most universities, especially state universities, will not be open for this time, but most community colleges have at least 3 intakes per year. That is January, May and September. But most universities, you will find them open around maybe December to like maybe March, and that is all. That is 1 time a year, some 2 times a year. So it all depends. Now when you are going for, when you already have the your admissions offer letters, the only thing you need to do is to accept the position. And most of the time, to accept your position into the university or the college, you need to pay a deposit, sometimes 500, sometimes 1,000, sometimes half the tuition fee. It depends on how much they are asking. But of course, before you do the the application, you also have the privilege, or you also have an advantage to verify all of this by sending emails to the international office to ask them how it functions. All right, so don't reach at the final stage when you cannot pull through before you start checking information. No, always ask before you start the process. It is very, very important, guys. I hope you enjoy this. Till we meet again. Now, before you even start watching the entire video, I want to draw your attention to two things. First, if you are broke, I am putting broke people before because I belong to the category. If you are broke, know that you can actually pay a deposit of just maybe $500, or a deposit of $1,000, or a deposit of $1,500. Yes, there are colleges in Canada that you can pay a deposit like this, then you apply for your visa. When you move to Canada, then you start paying the balance. I hope you understand. Equally understand that when you want to move to Canada, or if you intend to migrate to Canada, the school that you are applying to is a school that has the DLI number. It is called Designated Learning Institution number. Every university or every college in Canada has this particular number, so you should put this at the back of your mind and understand that for proof of funds for 1 year, according to IRCC, which is the government of Canada's website, you need to have at least 10,000 Canadian dollars. So any other thing you should be doing, know that before you apply for the visa, you need to show that you have 10,000 Canadian dollars first before your tuition fee. There are videos on this YouTube channel to explain more to you, so please make sure you watch the video, and make sure you watch the entire video so you understand how these things work if you must study in Canada in 2024.